pressure is maybe for the consortium to write a joint letter to TxDOT to try and raise the priority in their system. But it's again, I'm very concerned of EMS and fire response times. And I focus on Kirkendall 45. I'm telling you folks, there are times when we sit for a minute without moving. And if you're having a heart attack, that's not a good thing. If your building is burning, that's not a good thing. So we have gridlock even with this wonderful system.
Well, who could lead that consortium?
Well, we could, you know, we could do an agenda, maybe next month, we could put a plan together, Rich, somehow to address via letter and with ESD, because ESD 11's in the whole area, and have you all agree in some manner to send a letter of concern, or that's about the only thing I have right now.
Well, I can tell you, I had the misfortune of trying to drive down 1960 south of 249, not 249 to 45, the other way, and it was worse. It was just, if you had to get an ambulance down that road.
Again, I feel for TxDOT because we're all very, very aware of their budgetary constraints. They have a big state to cover, and they've been, you know, legislature has been reducing or not funding properly, I should say. So we need to be aware of that, but we can put pressure on them as much as we can. So
How about our commissioners?
it's not their roads. I begged Eversole and Cagle to take over 1960, but they won't.
Just a comment, listen, this came up a number of months ago with regard to Little York and ESD 1 emergency corps area. To the extent it goes into, involves TransStar, involves county's intelligent program, and goes outside the boundaries of ESD 1, the interlocal agreement that we have is between ESD 11 and Harris County and the Intelligent Road System. So if we're going to go outside boundaries, that would need to be amended, or they'll need to do their own interlocal with the county. So if this is something that may be coming up, I don't want to put brakes on it when you're ready to move. So this is something we ought to start addressing now.
And correct. And to clarify, just for the board, the Little York the discussions now are for ESD 11 intersections only. The core would be to utilize our system. So either in ESD 11 area, and of course that could also include Aldine Fire Department as they come to assist us. So there's benefits of allowing them to do that, and there would have to be some joint ESD 11, whatever those other ESD numbers are, just some kind of agreement. I think, Howard, you already have a simple.
Well, remember, we have the sub-interlocal between ESD 11 and then all the fire districts, and so we would need to bring those entities into that umbrella as well. So I'm just saying there's some administrative steps to do. We ought to start looking at that now, so that when you're ready to pull the trigger, these...
Which way is best?
Yeah,
These are still bigger, or have those people move around?
I think.
And we also need, if Coventry is really backing off on their promise to us that they made up front, we need an estimate on the number of intersections. We're going to have that new station up and running in 6 months, 5 months. We're going to need the system out there. So can we get a budget amendment?
So as a brief recap, my team were under the impression that the traffic preemption device could be designed with each roadway expansion project. They met with the Harris County Traffic Division to discuss preemption devices. We were informed that the devices could not be part of the design plans. Furthermore, preemption devices could not be installed unless an interlocal agreement was fully executed by a party in Harris County. Executed interlocal agreement would then allow for the signal. Following the conversation, I reached out to ensure that the ESD had this agreement in place. You verified that was true. Based on the conversation noted above, our team discussed this matter and came to the conclusion that we cannot pay for system equipment, programming, and transponders that we could not own or use. In addition, there are local agreements between ESD 11 and Harris County, not Coventry Development Corporation. We have no interest in becoming a party involved in this agreement. So,
Well, that answers that.
that's
Absolutely.
But if they were to reimburse the cost of the controllers in the intersection.
This is the first I'm hearing, so I will address it
Absolutely.
and have a report back for
Any other
us.
questions?
We need to be looking at amending our budget for EView, and if we've got to take on those Coventry intersections, I need an estimate on how much that's going to be.
Okay, how many intersections?
Round number?
15, I
At least
guess.
15 right now.
15,
With loan and money.
$8,000, $9,000 a piece. I mean, that's significant dollars.
And you already doubled it this year, so thank you again. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, your name?
Fred Windisch, W-I-N-D-I-S-C-H.
And Fred, you're chief over at Public?
Chief of the Ponderosa Fire Department, North Harris County. We've been on a project in the North Harris County area in an attempt to get emergency vehicle preemption for roadways, including both TxDOT and county roadways. The system is working very well. We have about 230 intersections currently. We're installing 40 plus more right now. These are funded by local emergency service districts. That means fire and EMS districts paying for this hardware that makes these lights very, very intelligent. The system is called EViews, and what it does is it is intelligent to the point where it does not affect mobility as much as the old methods. So the system, again, is working very, very well. We are running into some problems with TxDOT, and not TxDOT itself, but TxDOT hardware. It appears that TxDOT hardware is a little outmoded, meaning outdated, and it doesn't have the capabilities to do what the new generation of traffic signal controllers do on a regular basis. Now, that doesn't mean all intersections. It means some of the intersections. And I fully understand TxDOT has a budget like everybody else. So what we need to do is really, I think, focus on the very, very high volume corridors, meaning roads. One of those is FM 1960 between I-45 and 249. That roadway is well past design capabilities. There's, I believe, at Rolling Creek and 1960, where our headquarters is, passes about 65,000 cars per day through that intersection. If my numbers are correct, I think they were at one point. Traffic continues to increase because of growth. It really is a major east-west corridor. And here we are in emergency services, both EMS and fire, trying to come to your aid. It's very frustrating to us when we are stuck in gridlock. We can't do our jobs, meaning assist you. We need help.
Okay, explain the system a little bit. You're running a fire. Fire truck's coming out of the intersection, a heavy, traffic light's red, you've got a lot of cars in that intersection. Tell me what happens.
The EView system is multifaceted in that it works on global positioning systems, GPS, radio, meaning a transmit, receive radio. It works on fiber optics, that is the infrastructure, especially for county roadways and intersections. And that all happens in a little box inside the traffic controller. So all of this hardware software works together, but how is it activated? There's another, I'll call it magic box, in the responding emergency vehicle that when we turn on lights and siren, it activates and it starts talking to the intersection controller via the EView's magic box. So it's measuring our speed, time, distance relationship via GPS. It is predicting which way we're going, when we're going to get there, and it is also telling the signals down the road, get ready, here they come. Now, the beauty of this system is, it's only telling those further intersections to get ready. They're not really preempting, they're saying something might happen. So it's positioning itself to prevent mobility issues. Mobility issues are something that you and I, all citizens deal with, and that's traffic signal timing. We're very sensitive to the point. We don't want to disrupt mobility, but we also want to get to your house or your vehicle wreck or whatever you're calling us for, because we have a job to do and you called us to help quickly. So there's a delicate balance in how we preempt as well as the effects on mobility. The EView system works very, very well. It is state-of-the-art. We're in our 5th or 6th year of this project. Again, 240 approximate intersections, and we're soon to be 280.
Take, for instance, Veterans Memorial to Houston Northwest Hospital, range, what, 6 miles, 8 miles, something like that?
Probably in the neighborhood of 6 miles.
Traffic today, the way traffic patterns today, without the EView system, how long would it take to get a patient from that intersection to the hospital?
Without preemption, I would tend to say it could be 12 minutes.
Okay, and
That's not scientific. That's just because I live here and I kind of know what goes on.
And with preemption?
With preemption, I would say it cuts it to approximately 8 minutes or 7 minutes because it's smooth flow. We're not talking 60 miles an hour in 1960. What we're talking about is the progressive operation of the traffic control signals that is starting to understand by the movement of the emergency vehicle that gives it a through pathway. The through pathway is also good, and you know, think about it, a ride in an ambulance if you're the patient. The less that ambulance start stops, the better it is for patient comfort and care. On a fire truck, we kind of recognize that same thing because there's braking, there is acceleration, there's people on the roadways that don't necessarily get out of our way like they're supposed to. Remember, move right for sirens and lights. There's another story there. But the point is that with progressive signal preemption, it is a smoother transition of the emergency vehicle to the emergency.
Your vehicles, fire truck, I'm sure is going to get there a whole lot quicker than ambulance. A little bit bigger and a little bit, oh my gosh, this big monster's coming at me compared to, here's a little ambulance somewhere right here. Same thing basically with fire trucks.
Well, in some cases. I'm on the record, this is nothing new. I'm not a big fan of the medians. The medians eliminates our, I'm going to call it escape routes, alternative routes. How does that sound? We don't have that alternative anymore. And now we're stuck like the rest of you. EViews helps us out, but there are times when there's just too darn many cars on that roadway. Then throw into there, here's another dynamic. With no disrespect, when a Metro bus is stopped for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, taking on discharging passengers, we have lost a full lane of traffic. If it's a 3 lanes one way, now you got 2. You can do the math. It's horrible, and that creates further backups that's really, really a problem. I think the root of all this is there's too many cars on the road.
No, these left turn lanes. I mean, you had the left turn lanes up and down in 1960. You had good separation. It was everyone wanted to turn left, turn right, quite a few accidents like that. But now you can't get across. You can't, your big trucks, you can't just jump curbs. And what about making turns on some of these left turn lanes you have now seem apparently fairly narrow? What about getting a ladder truck around those turns?
Well, yeah, there's challenges, and I'll cover the higher curbs first. I can tell you that my F-150 fire chief's truck, when I have to go over the median, it if I don't do it very, very carefully, it'll bottom on the frame rails. I don't get stuck, but I hear the clunk. We will not, all of us will not allow our multi-$100,000 fire trucks to jump curbs. That's asking for trouble. We can destroy tires, brakes, wheels, suspension, you name it. We're not going to do that, so we're stuck. Now, the turn lanes that are in there, and by the way, I believe there's 36 between Willowbrook and I-45. Those turn lanes do have low curbs. We can turn left when we need to. Unfortunately, fires don't care about left turn lanes, nor does EMS responses. If we're in a long string of high median and the business is on our left and that's where we're going, we have to go down to the next available turnaround, meaning a cross street, to come back the opposite direction. So with the medians, as I said earlier, I'm not a big fan, but I do know it did reduce accidents, but at what cost? What's the side effects, the unintended consequences? And now medians are being produced from 249 to Highway 10 on 1960 and Highway 6. Good luck, Cypress Creek EMS, Cypress Creek Fire Department, Cy-Fair Fire Department. I'm
Okay,
sensitive.
what response time on something like that? What,
All right, earlier we talked about, what's my opinion and tried to put some numbers to from Veterans Memorial to Northwest Medical Center. Here's, I think, the way to put it in perspective. If you are the receiving party of our services, be it fire, EMS, and you called 911 because you're having the worst day of your life, you want us there within seconds. A minute is an hour to you. We desire, our mission is to help you as soon as possible. Gridlock stops us from doing that.